Today, we are diving deep into the murk of legend, biology, and sheer, unapologetic adorableness to answer a question that looks like a typo but sounds like a sneeze. What is an axolotl? If you've spent any time online, you've probably seen the pictures. A creature with the smile of a permanent toddler, wearing an elaborate feathery helmet, looking perpetually delighted that it remembered how to breathe. But the axolotl is far more than just a meme. It is a biological paradox, a legend wrapped in gills, and one of the most uniquely specialized amphibians on Earth. Or perhaps, more accurately, one of the most uniquely unspecialized amphibians on Earth. So, let's start with the basics. If you were forced to categorize this pink, floppy alien, you would land somewhere around Salamander. The axolotl is, specifically, a juvenile salamander that refuses to grow up. They are native exclusively to the ancient lake beds beneath what is now Mexico City. And when we describe them, we have to talk immediately about their most arresting feature. Those fabulous, feathery plumes. Those aren't hairpieces. They are external gills. Most salamanders shed these gills and move onto land once they hit adulthood. The axolotl, it says, no, thank you. It chooses a biological path known as neoteny. This is the commitment to remaining in the larval aquatic state, retaining the gills and fins of its youth while still reaching sexual maturity. It's the biological equivalent of being 30 and still living in your parents' basement, but somehow achieving an advanced degree in underwater basket weaving. They can reach up to 9 inches long, come in colors ranging from murky brown to white laboratory pink, and they navigate the world using a technique best described as awkward underwater waddle. To understand why this creature is so strange, we have to look thousands of years back into its original cultural context, the Aztec Empire. The name axolotl comes directly from Nahuatl, the language of the Aztecs, and it links directly to the god Xolotl, the god of fire, lightning, deformities, and death. Xolotl was a twin of the famous Quetzalcoatl. When the gods decided to sacrifice themselves to bring the sun into existence, Xolotl panicked. He didn't want to die. He fled the sacrifice, transforming himself repeatedly to escape. First, he turned into corn. Didn't work. The other gods found him. Next, he turned into an agave plant. Didn't work. Found him again. Finally, in desperation, Xolotl plunged into the water and transformed into the creature we know today, the axolotl. He stayed trapped in this form, refusing to commit to his fate. This ancient myth perfectly captures the biology of the creature, the refusal to mature. The successful, if awkward, escape from standard evolutionary commitment. For centuries, these amphibians were a staple of Aztec diet, a delicacy caught in the vast, interconnected Lake Xochimilco. But as Mexico City grew and the lakes were drained, the axolotl faded from human awareness until the mid-1800s. In 1863, a shipment of 34 axolotls was sent from Mexico to a natural history museum in Paris. These 34 individuals quickly became the foundation for every laboratory axolotl colony in the world. And here's where the humor turns to horror. Almost every single captive axolotl today is essentially an inbred descendant of those Parisian refugees. The scientific community became obsessed with the axolotl, not because of its charming grin, but because of its absolute biological superpowers. When we talk about neoteny, the simple description is that the axolotl retains its youth because it doesn't utilize certain hormones specifically. Iodine that trigger metamorphosis. You can force an axolotl to transition by injecting it with iodine. But frankly, why would you ruin a perfect thing? But the real magic trick is regeneration. If a human loses a limb, we get a nasty scar. If an axolotl loses a limb, it calmly regrows the bone, the muscle, the nerves, and the blood vessels, resulting in a perfect replacement, often within a few weeks. It doesn't just patch itself up, it rebuilds the blueprint. It can regenerate parts of its brain. It can regenerate damaged spinal cord tissue without any scarring. Scientists are still trying to figure out how it suppresses the scarring process, which is the mechanism that limits our own healing. It is, quite literally, the closest thing we have to Wolverine, but with a better attitude and way fuzzier ears. This healing factor makes it an indispensable tool for medical research, offering hope for treatments of everything from spinal cord injuries to heart disease. This brings us to their current, highly precarious status. Despite being one of the most famous amphibians globally, swarming in labs and pet shops, the wild population is nearly non-existent. Remember we said they were endemic to the lakes under Mexico City? That is still true. They are restricted almost entirely to the polluted canals and remnants of Lake Exocamilco. As the city boomed, the remaining canals were filled with runoff, and non-native fish like tilapia and carp were introduced. These invasive fish love to eat axolotl eggs and young. In 1998, estimates suggested there were about 6,000 wild axolotls per square kilometer. By 2014, surveys struggled to find any at all in the traditional sampling areas. The axolotl is now listed as critically endangered in the wild, while they are thriving in captivity, meaning the species won't go extinct. The fate of the wild, genetically pure population hangs by a thread, primarily relying on small, protected conservation enclosures within their original habitat. It's a bizarre situation. A creature that defined the ancient landscape of a civilization now finds itself functionally extinct in its own home. The god of transformation has run out of hiding places. So, what is an axolotl? It is the physical manifestation of an Aztec god fleeing responsibility. It is a regenerative marvel that offers hope to millions of humans. It is a perpetual teenager wearing external respiratory fluff. And most importantly, it is a crucial reminder that even the weirdest, cutest, most resilient creatures can disappear if we don't protect the incredibly unique habitats they call home. Thank you for watching. If you loved learning about this delightfully awkward aquatic amphibian, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to What Is for more deep dives into the fascinating and the bizarre, and let us know in the comments, what bizarre creature should we investigate next? We'll see you soon.